Hey guys, what's going on? So this is a very, very specific video. This is a comment that I got off of my the video that I just posted. The game is now "Don't Pay and You Will Win," where I basically express how I think that the game is now much harder if you spend money, and this person has an active problem with winning way too easily and never being able to go into the late game, and how it sucks that you have to pay money in order to have longer matches and for it to be more difficult. And it's just the most wacky complaint that I've ever had about this game. Like, most people think that this 99.9% of people that I've ever interacted with in the 2021 till now time of being in this game, being on Discord, being in, comment sections, being in the YouTube, being on the Reddit, everybody is just always saying how this game is so hard and it's so pay to win and it sucks and I lose every game. And this person actively hates winning so easily, and I don't understand. And I'm posting this to ask you people out there, do you also is there somebody else out there? Because I know that whenever I make a definitive statement, whenever you make any kind of definitive statement online, and as long as I've been online for, which is the length of the internet, whenever you make a definitive statement online, there will always be somebody who says, who goes against that. In your comment section, you could say, like I'm saying right now, every time you make a definitive statement, there is always somebody online that will go against it. And somebody in my comment section right now will be like, I don't go up against any comment. I agree with every comment. I don't disagree with any comment. That's how the internet works. You could say that, everybody loves Avengers Endgame. And in your comment section, it won't be people filled to the brim with people saying, oh, I also love Avengers Endgame. There will be somebody that says, Avengers Endgame is overrated. I hate that movie. You could make any definitive statement that you want, and there will always be somebody to root against you. So, I'm telling you right now, KyrieTube, you are the only person I have ever heard that hates this game because it's too easy, because you win all the time. And I obviously, I did my monologue of, my post monologue, after I've gone through all of the evidence, right? I did that beforehand. I've now done that beforehand, but you don't have any of the context. So I'm going to read you all the context. I get what you mean, however, the pay-to-win aspect for me is the progression. I don't care about trophies. I just want to play games and actually last long. I am at 1600 crit, and each game just ends at double bosses. On top of that, I am so limited in what I play and how I can play. How can I play? Not saying I need a maxed account, but I just want to be able to get a few max legendaries without spending an insane amount. So this video that he's commenting this on is how this game is not a pay-to-win game, right? And he's saying that it is a pay-to-win game because of the progression, and because he wants max legendaries, but he doesn't want to spend a lot. Collection is specifically a choice. In my video, a person with 1300 crit and a level 7 monk and a level 1 gadget is at 8k trophies. If that person decides that they want Necromancer and they want a max Zeus and they want a max, all these things, that is a choice, right? You don't have to do that. He's already winning without it. There's no reason to need that. So I said, so your complaint is that you win too much. Your second concept of wanting max legendaries, even though you can beat the game without it, is a choice and on you, and not the game for being pay to win. Because again, he is writing this on my "this game is not pay to win," and he's using this as an argument to say, yes, it is. So I'm going to argue against that. He says, winning really fast is not what I want. I actually want to be able to enjoy the game, not just have it end instantly. The fun of having longer games and being able to set up your board for those longer games is much better than winning every game in 2 minutes. The fun of a long game is locked behind spending money. Do any of you have this problem? That you actively dislike the idea that you win all the time? And you beat games just so quickly, and your opponents just give up, and your deck is so good that everybody that you face, you can't build, and you can't do anything? Do any of you also hate this game because it's too easy? This is the wackiest complaint. Every single time this person wrote back, I was like, what is happening right now? I don't understand this complaint. And I said, winning easily is just such a weird complaint. Do you also hate that you can't buy enough things with your billions of dollars? That you haven't made enough cars for you to buy because you've bought them all, and it's not fun if they don't make more cars for you to buy? Or that your penis is just way too big, and that girls orgasming just when you put in the tip isn't fun when they orgasm over and over just by looking at your giant penis? It's such a rough life, man. I'm so sorry for your horrible Rush Royale experience of beating everybody. I will pray for you. I don't understand. I feel like anybody could complain about anything for any reason. Like if somebody said, like, oh, I have so much money, but for some reason Rush Royale doesn't want to take my money, and they put a limit of how much money that they will take, and my bank account thinks that when I spend $1 million on Rush Royale, that, you know, like, they're reversing the charges because they think that it's fraudulent, and it sucks that my bank doesn't allow me to spend the money that I want to spend. And, you know, like, you can be angry about anything, right? And I don't understand the concept of being angry that this game is pay to win because you're beating everybody. And it just keeps reiterating. So he said, weird response, but okay. I just prefer long games where I can actually do something than the game ending before I get to have any fun. Win or lose, a quick game is not fun to me. The irony of so many people complaining about long games that last 4 hours, so that they took steps over the course of a numerous amount of patches to make the game quicker and quicker and quicker, because 99.9% of the player base were complaining about long games. But that's exactly what this person wants to do is crazy. The idea that, like, this person is winning games before death waves and hates life is crazy. I just, like, every single time this person writes back and reiterates the exact same thing that I've already read, I just read the new thing and I'm just like, why is this a complaint? Like, this is what everybody wishes for. If you had the ability to go into every match and have everybody that you ever match with surrender, and you just climb trophies with a level 1 archer and a level 1, you know, like, thunderer and a level 1 lightning mage and a level 1 cold mage, and everybody just surrendered to you because you had the name Blue Dog, that was your name in game, and they just always surrendered to you, I feel like that kind of person would be like, yeah, this game is fun, this game is easy, because everybody just surrenders. And I feel like that's I feel like that's the kind of mindset that somebody with, like, a level 20 Zeus, that they've, like, paid so much money into this game that they just kind of, like, all right, I'm just going to show you this deck. This is the best deck in this format. This is the best deck right now. You should probably surrender. Oh, we have to play this out. We have to play this out for 3 minutes of death waves so that you eventually die, even though I can go to 7 minutes. Okay, I guess we have to play this out. I feel like I don't understand like the idea that this person is complaining about being quote unquote so good. Like, this person is clearly just so advanced with his deck, whatever his deck is. He's just so advanced with his deck and his crit level that he's beating scores upon scores of people, not being able to get into death waves, only going into double bosses, and he hates life. And he hates Rush Royale, and it's like, and like he doesn't say I hate Rush Royale. I feel like this person is gonna immediately comment, I never said I hated Rush Royale. And this person like dislikes the idea that this game is now pay to win because you can only go into death waves if you have a maxed out deck so that your opponents are better, and he can't, because since he didn't pay money and he doesn't have a maxed out deck, he's facing worse people because of crit pairing that lose to him immediately. This is the world we live in, Rush Royale. This is the new world that we live in. That people can be in 8K trophies with low crit, and they're not even getting into death waves. People are getting into 8K trophies that have never seen death wave. That don't even know that death wave is even a thing. There are some people on my live stream yesterday that when I got into death waves, they were like, what is this? I can't even. Like, playing 100 games that end in 2 minutes is a lot less fun than 5 really long games, quality over quantity, not that complex, and again, I'm only 1600 crit. The idea that this game is locked behind a paywall to experience Death Wave and to experience longer games, is that something that Rush Royale even wants to address? Like, should it be is it supposed to be much more difficult? Like, it's such a weird complaint. Like, on one hand, I get it. On one hand, I'm just like, yeah, I guess if you're beating everybody at 1600 crit, it doesn't have the chance to go into triple bosses where enemies have like 1,000,000 health or whatever, because you wouldn't be able to deal with 1,000,000 health anyway. So you need a better account and more crit in order to do that. That's not inherently pay to win, because you're already winning. But to have that as a complaint, that because of your crit level, you win against everybody before death waves, so that you can't experience a latter portion of the game that is specifically designed to make people that are in the latter portion of the game like die at some point that is sooner than what it used to be, is crazy. I feel like this problem wouldn't exist if Death Waves was just triple bosses. Or if Death Waves didn't exist. I feel like this problem wouldn't exist for this person if there wasn't a quote-unquote mode called Death Waves. Because his problem is that, oh, I can't get into the latter portion because of Death Waves, or that is Death Waves, because my opponents can't last that long. And if this was just double bosses, because he can get to double bosses. If this game was just double bosses but harder, then I don't think he would feel the same way about... No, maybe he would, because the games would still last the amount of time that they last. But I think because they've added a quote-unquote mode called Death Waves, and now that's like a feature, like that's a cool, like, now go through the portal and enter the Death Wave. You know, like, it's now that, as opposed to just being... You know, because if anything, it goes from double bosses into single bosses. And it's like a wave-based, like, the wave doesn't stop and it's like single boss, but it's single bosses. But I think the fact that they've now called it Death Wave, and it's like, it feels like a mode, like if they called double bosses, if they changed the name to double bosses to Into the Jungle, you know, like, you go from single bosses to the jungle mode, and then you go into the Death Wave mode, you know, like, because it's like this feature, this quote-unquote feature thing, even though it's not, it's just an extension of the game. I don't know if this person would still feel the same way, or if it's literally just he wants games to last longer. Because there are people, there is a 1% of person, because this is a 1% of person. There is a 1% of person. There was one person in my chat when I was doing a live stream that said, I hate that they changed co-op 13 to only 25 levels. I liked it when it was 40 levels, because then you got to set up and you got to really play the game. You know, it makes me almost wonder if this is the same guy. Wouldn't that be hilarious if this was the same guy? If this is the same guy? And I was like, why would you complain about this? Like, them making it shorter makes it easier. Like, you're doing the exact same thing. Now it makes it easier. Like, if you can win at double bosses, yay! That means I don't have to just outlast you for 5 minutes in Death Waves. My game is shorter. I can get on to the next game. Like, but I guess that, like, the other side of this argument is, like, I don't know, LeBron James being in a grade school basketball game. You know, like, if for some reason LeBron James couldn't go into, like, regular basketball, and he could only play against people that are in grade school. He could only play against grade school basketball players. And he was just beating everybody all the time. And he was like, this is boring. I wish I could go up against people that are my, you know, like, that are equals of mine, because I want the game to be more difficult. Like, yeah, I get the argument. But then you have people in, like, basketball, in regular basketball, 99% of people in regular basketball that are just complaining all the time that this game is so difficult, and I wish that I could get, you know, like, a trophy, and I wish that I could, you know, become the next Kobe Bryant. Like, I wish that I could, you know, like, I wish I could win more, you know, like, games. And then you have, like, a LeBron James in grade school playing against grade schoolers, and he's like, this sucks because I win all the time. And you're just like, I see your argument. I see it. I understand. I see where you're going with I win all the time. I get it. I understand it. I get it. But why is this a complaint? Like, so many people would love to have your life. I trust that there are millionaires out there that have bought so many cars, and there's just not a cool car anymore. They don't make cars like they used to. Like, there's all these new cars. I've already bought them all. They're not cool enough. I could buy anything. Like, I kind of want to buy a spaceship, but they won't let me. How come I can't buy a spaceship? You know, like, I get the problem. I see why you're complaining. I could see how this is a problem for you. But for 99% of this player base, nobody would see this as a problem. And again, this is me making a definitive statement that I want people in the comment section to like be like, no, I feel this too. I win all the time with my giant penis. I win all the time with my giant penis and I hate it. I hate this life. This life of being a billionaire with a giant penis and winning all the time. I hate this life. This life is awful and it needs to change. And so I said, so to be clear, you win all the time, but it's only pay to win if you pay. And so they said, let me be clear, the fun of variety and longer matches is locked behind how much money you spend. Maybe pay to win isn't the right term, but spending money to be able to enjoy the game is not good. The new Death Wave is an update that doesn't exist unless you spend money, and that's a fact. Death Waves is not anything. It's just a fancy way of them saying, we want to limit the amount of time you need to spend in this game because people were getting tired of like 40-minute Corsair matches. People were getting tired of like 2-hour, like Meteor versus Meteor matches. Like, that's why they took away infinite damage. Like percentage damage decks, because people were complaining about long games. It's almost why some people play Toxic, so that there can be short games. If anything, like a 7-minute Death Wave battle is now like, oh god, I have to play for 7 more minutes in Death Wave. I have to get to Death Wave and then play an additional like 7 minutes of time, because I think that's the maximum amount of time now. I said, I'm going to feature you in a video, and I'm not sorry. This is the wackiest conversation I've ever had. Because, yeah, it is. I don't understand how winning all the I get it. Again, like, I get it. I get that games just are easy. Like, when you start the game. Like, I don't know if you remember when you start the game. And if you can, the rule is, if you can make it to the first boss, somebody will die in the first wave of the next wave. If you can beat the boss, somebody will die during the next wave. And that was like the big hurdle in the beginning of the game. It's getting to the boss, beating the first boss, and if you can beat the boss, somebody will die in the next wave. That person will never experience Death Wave, right? And I suppose, like, to some extent that is true. If you just have low crit, you will not get to a wave where enemy health is a million health per wave monster, right? Because you'll just immediately die. And if you can't even get to that point, I guess that's a feature. Like if they made another feature that if you get into 20 minutes of Death Wave, it turns into, it's a secret feature for like the top 5 players. If you can make it to 20 minutes of Death Wave, you get into super ultra mega Death Wave. Oh, and all the people, the top 5 people in the game can make it to 20 minutes, and only they get to play Super Ultra Mega Death Wave. Oh, and the monsters are dark red and they glow. Ooh. I personally, I don't want to make it to 20 minutes of Death Wave to go into Super Mega Ultra Death Wave. I don't care. Right? Like, if I can beat my opponent because I can beat my opponent, that's all I care about. I don't need to have, like, some complicated setup process and strategy that forces me to play this game for 4 hours. Like, I would actively dislike that, and I feel like enough people in this player base over the course of large quantities of time have expressed their complaint about long games for a phone game that they have done different things. They added armored waves, where monsters get armor. They added death waves. They added the shorter times in between bosses and the next wave. They've done so many things to shorten the length of games for this very reason. And I feel like this is the kind of person that wishes old co-op was back. Like, the people that champion for endless co-op, oh, I wanna play endless co-op to see how far my deck can go, right? I wanna like have somebody support me and go for 20 hours in endless co-op, and I'm just like, why? Why? Back when endless co-op with percentage damage, and you just had the ability to literally choose when you wanted to stop the game because you had an infinite amount of damage that you could do, like, that's what it would become. And I just don't understand why. Like, if you can make the same amount of money with co-op now as you potentially would if they brought back endless co-op and gave you no rewards, because how would they balance those rewards? I feel like that kind of person would also say, oh, I don't care about rewards. I just want to see how far my deck can go. Maybe I don't understand that thinking. Maybe I don't understand that thinking of wanting to play a game for 4 hours, for wanting to play a game where I could potentially lose after 4 hours of playing and then have to just play again. I don't want that experience. And maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm the weird one that if I could win it at double bosses, I would love to win at double bosses. Now, being on the other side of this, where I am going into death waves, where I am going into like 4-minute death waves or 3:30 death waves, if I could win at double bosses, if somebody would surrender to me at the beginning of the game, I would love that. But let me know in the comment section below. Do you also hate life because of your giant penis? Let me know.